The spaceship from Earth arrived at the edge of the Takari system. It was sleek and silver, with the Earth Alliance symbol glowing blue on its side. Inside it stood one human, Leo Carter, the first ambassador sent to the Takari Empire. Leo was tall, with messy brown hair and a constant smile on his face. He wore a simple black suit, no armor, no medals, no crown. Just confidence and charm. He looked out the window at the giant green-blue planet below. "Well," he said to himself, "time to meet the Space Queen." The Takari were one of the oldest and most powerful races in the galaxy. Their world, Taquora, was full of beauty, floating gardens, glowing trees, and tall crystal towers. Their people were graceful, elegant, and always serious. And at the top of them all was Queen Zalari. She was known as the Silver Flame. Her skin shimmered like moonlight. Her long eyes were sharp, glowing faint purple. Her voice could silence a room with a single word. Many leaders feared her. Some even called her heartless. Leo knew all this, but he wasn't afraid. When the Earth ship landed at the royal landing platform, a crowd of alien nobles waited. Their heads were high, their robes shining. A long golden carpet stretched from the ship to the palace gate. Leo walked down it, calm and smiling. He waved to the nobles, gave a small wink to a floating drone camera, and reached the end where Queen Zalari waited. She stood tall, with a glowing crown on her head and a royal staff in her hand. Her guards stood still as statues. Her expression was cold. Leo bowed slightly, not too deep, just enough to show respect without fear. Then he looked up at her and said with a gentle voice, "You're so beautiful, I have no words." Gasps filled the court. Nobles looked shocked. Some covered their mouths. A few guards reached for their weapons. No one had ever spoken to the queen like that. Queen Zalari blinked. Her eyes narrowed. Her lips parted like she was about to give an order. Then it happened. Her skin, normally silver and calm, began to change. Color. A soft red glow crept up her cheeks. It spread across her face, then down her neck. The nobles froze. The queen had turned red. In Takari culture, that color meant deep fluster, rare emotion, even embarrassment. Something no one had ever seen from Zalari. Leo just smiled. "I'm sorry," he added softly. "But it's true." Queen Zalari stood still. For the first time in her long rule, she did not know what to say. Later in the royal palace, the court was buzzing. How dare he say such a thing to her radiance? One noble hissed. She blushed. "It's impossible," another shouted. "Maybe it's a human trick, some kind of emotion poison," said a suspicious general. Inside her private chamber, Queen Zalari sat alone, watching the stars. Her guards waited outside, silent. She touched her cheek. It was still warm, still red. "That human," she whispered. There had been no fear in his voice, no begging, no attempt to gain favor, just a sudden, honest compliment. And something inside her reacted. She had lived for 200 years. She had fought wars, built peace, ruled empires. No one had ever said she was beautiful. Not like that. Not with no plan, no reason, no lies. She tapped her fingers on her throne. "Strange creature," she murmured. "Very strange." The next day, Leo was called to the Royal Hall of Truth, a giant room made of silver and glass. It was where trials and apologies were held. Everyone expected him to kneel and beg forgiveness. But Leo walked in with his usual smile, hands behind his back. He didn't kneel. He stood tall. The queen sat high above, looking down at him. Her voice echoed across the hall. "Human. Do you understand the weight of your words?" Leo nodded. "I do. I just didn't plan them. They came from the heart," the nobles whispered. Zalari leaned forward slightly. "Explain yourself." Leo looked around the hall. Then he looked straight at the queen. "Back on Earth," he began, "we have many kinds of beauty. Some are soft, some are fierce, some are calm, and some burn like stars." He took a breath. "When I saw you, it was like watching a storm and a moon dance together. I didn't know how to say it, so I just said the first thing I felt." The room was quiet. The Queen didn't speak for a moment. Then she raised her hand. "You are forgiven." Gasps again. Leo gave a short bow. "Thank you, Your Majesty." As he turned to leave, he heard a small sound behind him. A laugh. Quiet, soft, almost invisible. He looked back, but the Queen's face was calm again. Still, he saw the red had returned to her cheeks. In the days that followed, strange things happened. Queen Zalari asked for reports about Earth culture. She requested human music in the royal halls. She ordered a dinner with Leo, private, no advisors, and... Leo? He stayed curious. He talked with palace workers, laughed with Takari guards, and shared Earth jokes that made some nobles snort in secret. He never acted like he was special. That made him even more interesting. One evening, under the glowing trees of the royal garden, Leo met the Queen again. She wore a dark cloak, her crown gone. Just herself. "You walk alone?" she asked. "Sometimes I like quiet," Leo replied. "But I won't lie. This garden is better than anything back home." She walked beside him. The silence was calm, not cold. "Why did you say what you said?" she asked again. Leo looked at her. "Because I've never seen anything so alive." She stopped walking. Leo waited. Then he added softly, "You don't need to smile or laugh to be beautiful. Sometimes power itself glows." The Queen looked at him, her expression unreadable. Then, very quietly, she said, "Strange creature." Leo laughed. "You keep calling me that. I'll take it as a compliment." That night, for the second time in her life, Queen Zalari stood before a mirror and touched her cheek, still red. And for the first time, she did not try to stop it. Queen Zalari sat in her private study, surrounded by glowing scrolls and data screens. Each one displayed something about humans, their languages, music, cities, food, and history. She had read reports from the Alliance before, but this time she studied them with new eyes. Leo Carter had confused her. No, not just confused, shaken her. In all her years, no ambassador had ever spoken to her like that. No one had dared. And yet he had done it with a smile. Worse, she remembered everything he said. His voice echoed in her mind. "You don't need to smile or laugh to be beautiful. Sometimes power itself glows." Those words played again, and every time her cheeks warmed. Meanwhile, Leo was walking through the floating gardens of the palace with a Takari guide named Thaliin. The guide was tall and thin with blue eyes and two shimmering antennae on her forehead. "You know," Thaliin said, "most humans act nervous here." "You don't," Leo shrugged. "Well, back home, people don't bite unless they're very hungry." Thaliin blinked. "That is a joke?" Leo grinned. "A bad one, yeah." They passed a group of alien nobles. Some sneered, others looked curious, a few looked jealous. Leo waved politely. "Are they still upset I made the Queen blush?" he whispered to Thaliin. Thaliin nearly tripped. "You shouldn't say that out loud." "But I did," he said. "And it happened. Can't unblush a queen." Inside the palace council chamber, some of the Takari leaders weren't happy. "This human is getting too close," said Minister Vorek, a tall male with cold yellow eyes. "He distracts the Queen. He changes the court." "He's dangerous," said General Roth, whose scales were marked with old battle scars. "We don't know what he really wants." Another noble added, "Earth is weak, young. Why should they earn the Queen's favor?" But Counselor Venny, the Queen's oldest advisor, raised one hand. And yet, he did what none of us have ever done. He made her feel something. The room fell silent. That evening, the Queen invited Leo to a private meal in the Star Garden, a small dome made of clear crystal. Through the roof, stars sparkled above. A long table waited. Food from both Earth and Taquara was laid out. Some things steamed, some glowed, and one dish softly hummed. Leo took a seat across from the Queen. She wore a simple silver robe and no crown. Her hair was down, and her expression was calm, but not cold. They ate in silence for a while. Then she asked, "Why do humans eat with metal sticks?" "They're called forks," Leo said. "We also have spoons and knives. Dangerous tools," she blinked. "Dangerous?" he laughed. "Only when you're bad at cooking." Queen Zalari tilted her head. "Your humor is unusual." "Yeah," Leo said. "I get that a lot." Then he looked serious. "Why did you invite me here, Your Majesty?" She looked at him. "Because you are unlike the others. You do not bow, but you show respect. You do not flatter, but you speak truth." "I try," Leo said. "You made me feel something. I do not know if I like that or fear it." Leo leaned back, thoughtful. "Back home, feelings are kind of like wild animals. Scary, messy, sometimes loud. But if you ignore them, they'll tear you apart." The Queen looked at him for a long time. Then she said, "Tell me about your world." So he did. He spoke of Earth's blue skies and crowded cities, of music festivals, rainstorms, street food, and oceans that roared like beasts. He told her about his sister, who painted stars on her bedroom ceiling, about his old dog, Benny, who once ate an entire chair, about how he became a diplomat, not for power, but to meet strange minds and kind eyes. Queen Zalari listened without interrupting. When he finished, she said quietly, "Your world is loud and alive. Ours is silent and still." "Maybe you just forgot how to make noise," Leo said. She didn't reply, but the red shimmer returned to her cheeks. Across the galaxy, something darker was happening. The Drokari Collective, an insect-like race with sharp minds and sharper claws, watched the growing bond between Earth and the Takari Empire with suspicion. In a cold, shadowy chamber, a Drokari leader hissed, "The human is becoming a weakness in the Queen's heart. That is our chance." Another replied, "Use the council. Bribe one of them. Make it look like the human is a spy." The Queen must doubt him. They all clicked in agreement. The plan began. Back on Taquara, Leo began to notice strange looks. A few servants stopped speaking when he passed. A noble named Erok refused to shake his hand. Something had changed. That night, he returned to his room and found it had been searched. Not violently, but carefully. His datapad was missing. His Earth scrolls had been touched. Then the guards came. "You are under arrest," said a stern voice, "by order of the royal court." Leo didn't resist. "Can I at least grab my toothbrush?" They didn't laugh. The Queen was informed the next morning. She stood still as a statue, reading the report. Leo Carter, suspected of spying, secret messages sent to unknown channels, unauthorized access to the royal network. She said only one word: no. But Counselor Venny spoke carefully. "Your Radiance, the evidence is strong." Queen Zalari's voice was sharp. "He is many things, foolish, loud, strange, but not a traitor." Still, she allowed the trial to begin. Secretly, she ordered a private investigation. She wanted truth, not rumors. Leo sat in a cold cell made of crystal bars. He leaned back against the wall, humming a song from Earth. When Queen Zalari entered, he sat up. "Your Majesty," he said, "I'd offer you a seat, but the furniture is minimal." She didn't smile, but her eyes softened. "Do you understand what they accuse you of?" He nodded. "Spying, lying, Maybe even bad fashion choices. She stepped closer. Tell me, did you betray me? No, he said, quietly but firmly. Her gaze searched his face. Leo added, I don't know who's behind this, but it's not me. I came here with open hands and maybe an open heart. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she turned away. I will find the truth. Outside the palace, the real traitor, Iraq, the jealous noble, sent another message to the Drokari. Everything is going as planned. The queen is unsure. The human will soon be gone. But he didn't see the small drone above him, watching, recording, listening. It belonged to Yari, the royal AI historian, loyal only to the queen. Back in her chamber, Queen Zalari watched the proof. Iraq had been bought. The human had been framed, her hands tightened into fists. I will not let this stand, she said, and for the first time in many years her voice burned with anger. The royal court was quiet as Queen Zalari entered the grand assembly hall. Her silver robe flowed behind her like liquid light, but today her steps were sharp, her eyes cold. She had seen the truth with her own eyes. Iraq, the noble who once smiled and bowed deeply, had betrayed her. The recordings from Yari, the royal AI, proved it beyond doubt. The words were clear. The human will be blamed. The queen will doubt him. Then we strike. She felt the sting of anger, not just because Leo was innocent, but because she had doubted him, even for a moment. That thought made her chest tighten in a way she didn't fully understand. Inside the prison cell, Leo Carter sat cross-legged, on the floor, humming a quiet tune. His suit was a bit wrinkled, and his face showed signs of stress, but his eyes still held light. He heard footsteps. When the crystal bars slid open and Queen Zalari stepped inside, he stood quickly. Let me guess, Leo said with a small smile. You're here to throw me into a deeper cell? Maybe one with no food? The queen didn't smile. Instead, she looked straight into his eyes and said softly, You were right. About everything. Leo blinked. Wait. What? I saw the evidence, she continued. You were framed. Iraq betrayed the court. He worked with the Drokari to destroy our alliance. Leo's smile faded. So this was bigger than just jealousy. Yes, she said. They fear us. They fear what Earth and Taquara might become, together. She paused, then added, I should not have let you be taken. I should have trusted my heart. Leo was quiet for a moment. Then he replied gently, You've been queen for a long time. It's not easy to trust someone new. She looked away. Still, I'm sorry. Leo stepped forward. Then I forgive. You... Her eyes widened slightly. Then, for just a second, a small smile touched her lips. That same day, Iraq was arrested by royal guards. The court gasped as the recordings played before the nobles. His lies, his deals with the Drokari, and his hatred for Leo were now public. He tried to deny it, but the queen's voice silenced him. You endangered our empire, she said. For pride. He was stripped of his title and sent to exile on a frozen moon. The palace felt different after that. Lighter, freer, and Leo Carter, he became a hero. But peace did not last. Far away in space, the Drokari collective began to move. Their ships, dark, sharp, and fast, gathered at the edge of Takari territory. They had failed to divide the queen and the human. Now they would try to crush them both. A secret message reached the palace. Surrender your alliance with Earth, or face destruction. Queen Zalari read it in silence. Then she looked at Leo and said, We will not bow. The queen summoned. Her war council, generals, scientists, and ship commanders gathered in the Crystal War Room, where star maps floated in the air like light sculptures. Leo was there too. General Rath pointed at the enemy positions. Their fleet numbers are triple ours, and they are moving fast. Counselor Venny asked, "Can we call for help from the Alliance?" "We can," the Queen said, "but it may take weeks." Leo stood up. "Then let me help." The room went silent. "You are not a soldier," Rath said. Leo nodded. "No, but I'm a voice. Let me talk to the Drokari, distract them, confuse them, make them hesitate." "They will kill you," someone whispered. "Maybe," Leo said, "but maybe they'll listen just long enough for your ships to be ready." "Queen." Zalari looked at him. "You would risk your life for us?" He met her eyes. "For you." The room was still. Then she said, "Permission granted." A few days later, Leo stood aboard a small diplomatic ship, heading toward the Drokari fleet under a white flag of peace. The alien warships surrounded him like dark shadows. Their leader, a massive insectoid being named Commander Grithak, appeared on the screen. "You dare come here alone, human?" Leo smiled. "Well, I heard your parties were exciting," the alien hissed. "Speak your terms before we tear your bones apart." Leo stayed calm. "The Queen will not break the alliance. You'll have to go through her, and through Earth." "You humans are weak." Leo leaned forward. "You're scared. That's why you tried to break us apart in secret, because together, we're strong. And you know it," Grithak growled. "Enough!" But Leo kept talking. "You can fight us, if you want. But you'll lose more than ships. You'll lose your place in the galaxy. Because the stars remember the bold and forget the cowards." For a moment, Grithak didn't speak. Then suddenly, Leo's ship was hit with an energy pulse. Back on Quora, the Queen was watching. "His ship just lost power," Thalion said. "Track him," Zalari ordered. "He's falling toward our planet." The Queen's heart raced. "Prepare for launch," she said. "I'm going to bring him back." The generals gasped. "Your radiance, it's not safe." "I don't care." Within minutes, the Queen's personal ship launched into the sky. Leo's escape pod crashed just outside the capital, smoke rising into the sky. His leg was hurt, but he forced himself to stand. He limped toward the city, one step at a time. Citizens watched from windows. Some ran to help, but he kept walking. He had to see her. He had to let her know he wasn't broken. When Queen Zalari arrived and saw him, bleeding, limping, but smiling, she ran to him. Her guards were too shocked to stop her. She reached out, took his face in her hands, and whispered, "You're a fool." Leo grinned. "Takes one to love one." The Queen's cheeks flushed bright red, and then, in front of everyone, she embraced him. Later, the palace celebrated Leo's return. The Drokari had withdrawn for now, confused by the Queen's bold move and Earth's stubborn resistance. But inside the garden that night, only Leo and Zalari sat alone. They looked at the stars. "I almost lost you," she said. "You still might," Leo said. "I don't plan to live forever." She turned to him. "I've lived for 200 years. I've seen stars burn and worlds die. But never you." Leo touched her hand. "And you've never let yourself feel this before." "No," she admitted. "But now, I don't want to stop." The stars above Quora were bright and clear, but the mood inside the palace was tense. The Drokari fleet was still nearby, waiting for the right moment to strike again. The peace had been broken, and the Queen knew they had to act fast. Queen. Zalari stood before the grand window in the war room, watching the endless sky. Her face was serious but calm. Beside her stood Leo Carter, still healing from his injuries but stronger than ever. "We can't hide behind the Alliance," the Queen said quietly. "They will help, but not soon enough." Leo nodded. "Then we fight. But not just with weapons. With our words, our minds, and our will. The queen looked at him, feeling a strange warmth inside. You speak like a true leader, Leo smiled. I learned from the best. The War Council gathered again. Ships were prepared, pilots briefed, and weapons loaded. The Takari fleet was smaller, but their technology was advanced and deadly. Leo was not just a diplomat anymore. He had become a symbol of hope and courage for many. Commander Roth, the queen said, lead the fleet. Protect the homeworld. The general bowed. Yes, Your Radiance. Leo stayed behind with the communication team. His mission was clear: keep the enemy confused and unsure. As the battle began, the stars lit up with beams of energy and explosions. The Drokari ships attacked in waves, sharp and fast. Leo's voice echoed through enemy channels. Why fight when we can talk? Why waste lives when peace is possible? The Drokari leader, Commander Grithak, responded with threats and insults, but Leo kept speaking, his words like a shield around the Takari fleet. He called out stories of Earth's history, how humans survived wars, built friendships, and found hope in darkness. Some Drokari ships slowed. Others hesitated. The queen watched with growing hope. Suddenly, Leo's ship was hit again. This time, the damage was worse. He was forced to make an emergency landing on Taquora. The palace received the message and prepared for his arrival. The Queen's heart raced. Leo's ship crashed near the capital. His leg hurt badly, but he forced himself to walk. People saw him struggling and came to help. The news spread quickly. The human ambassador is back. Queen Zalari was waiting. She rushed to him, ignoring the guards. Her cheeks glowed red as she held him close. You're alive, she said softly. I'm stubborn, Leo replied with a grin. The Drokari fleet was pushed back for now, but the threat remained. Inside the palace, the queen and Leo spoke late into the night. I never thought I would trust anyone like this, she admitted. Leo looked at her. Trust is a choice, not a weakness. She smiled, the red glow still present on her cheeks. Together, we will face whatever comes. The next day, the queen made a bold announcement to the entire empire. We will not live in fear. We will not bow to threats. Earth is our ally, and together we are strong. The crowd cheered. Leo stood beside her, proud and hopeful. As peace talks began again with the Drokari, the queen and Leo's connection grew stronger. She learned to laugh more, to trust more, and to open her heart. He learned the beauty of her world and the strength behind her silver skin. The galaxy was quiet, but a new light was rising over Taquora. The war with the Drokari was over. For now, the alliance between Earth and the Takari Empire was stronger than ever. Queen Zalari stood on the balcony of her palace, looking at the stars. Beside her stood Leo Carter, the human who had changed everything. You know, Leo said softly, when I first met you, I didn't know what to expect. Zalari smiled, the red glow still faint on her cheeks. Neither did I. They stood side by side, watching the twin moons rise. The queen had changed in many ways. She was no longer the cold, distant ruler. She laughed more freely, and sometimes she even teased her advisors. Her people noticed. They began to trust her in new ways. One day she announced a festival, a celebration of unity between humans and Takari. The streets filled with music, colors, and joy. Leo danced with the people, awkward but happy. The queen watched, her heart warm. In private moments, Leo and Zalari talked about the future. I never thought a simple sentence could start all this, Leo said. You said you're so beautiful I have no words, the queen repeated, smiling. And I was right to turn red, Leo laughed. I was afraid you would never smile. She touched his hand gently. I smile now, because of you. The two began to plan new journeys, exploring each other's worlds, sharing knowledge, and building a future together. They knew challenges awaited. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but they were no longer alone. At a ceremony in the Grand Hall, the Queen officially welcomed Earth into the Takari Empire as an equal partner. She spoke with pride. Together, we are stronger. Together, we face the stars. Leo stood by her side, proud and hopeful. The crowd cheered. One night, as the palace quieted, Zalari and Leo walked through the glowing gardens. She stopped and looked at him. "You still don't have words," he smiled softly. "Maybe I never will." She leaned closer and whispered, "Then don't say them. Show me instead." Under the stars, their hands touched. The Queen's cheeks flushed bright red again. This time, she did not hide it.